Welcome to Everything Costs Nothing, Shift Your Mindset, Shift Your Income with Brandon Vaughn, where transformative strategies for business success await you. This session is a special recording from the Conquer Summit. This exclusive event held in January for our Conquer Coaching Program members was packed with valuable insights from top coaches who are also owners of home service businesses just like you are. In this session, Brandon takes you on the journey from mundane operational tasks to strategic investments, discovering the power of proactive initiatives for enduring growth. Check it out now.
If I could go back and tell young Brandon one thing, what would that one thing do? What would I go back and tell young Brandon? Invest. Be an investor. Brandon, if you would just shift your mindset earlier, you'd shift your income a lot earlier. You'd probably avoid a lot of the problems in your life. Not that I would necessarily do that and want to avoid those problems, because that adversity made me the man I am today. And I don't regret those things, because I would not have the lessons ingrained into my soul unless those things had happened. Everything costs nothing. Everything of value, every asset costs nothing. Always will deliver you an ROI. And having an investor mindset creates wealth. Wealth is what we all want to have. Yes, of course, wealth of money, sure. But more importantly, wealth of time. Having more of that precious currency. Wealth of team. How can we apply our investor mindset to these three areas and build wealth in our lives? Because we all deserve it. That's what we're all aiming for. How do we go out and how do we get that? So I'm going to walk through a couple frameworks for each one of these areas. Number one is stop spending. Number two is start investing. I know it's really, really high, powerful stuff here. Number three is compound your results. I'm not coming up with any of these strategies, any of these things on my own. There's only 88 keys on a keyboard. There's only 4 chords in 90% of the pop songs out there. These are principles that have long stood the test of time, and people way smarter than me have learned these lessons. And if I could go back and tell younger Brandon, I would try to beat this into my head as fast as I could. So let's talk about wealth of money first. First of all, if you're looking to grow your wealth, stop spending. I've seen so many people that have the $80,000, $90,000 trucks, and they got all the toys, and they got all the things, and they think they need all the things. Not only does things not give you happiness, but things, spending, will absolutely kill your wealth, 100%. There's a lot of starving business owners that are starving not because their businesses are really struggling, it's because they're pulling all the cash out of their business when they haven't earned it yet. And I didn't know that I hadn't earned it yet until I lost it all. And nothing is more humbling for me. I know people have been humbled a lot greater than I have and have experienced a lot more adversity than I have. But for me, my wife going shopping on food stamps and getting a $20 a week allowance made me realize how little you can live on and still be happy. Biggest epiphany of all. When we cut everything, no travel, we sold every single one of our vehicles, 0 loans, no toys. I sold musical instruments that were like heirlooms for me. I had to sell everything just to be able to make ends meet. But you know what I had? My beautiful kids, my beautiful wife. We had a roof over our heads. We still found contentment. And sometimes we have to humble ourselves so hard. If we want to get there, you have to shift your mindset. And it's one of my superpowers, I feel like now, where because I've lost everything, I don't have that much fear in losing it all again. If I lose everything again tomorrow, I know that I have my wife, I have my daughter, I have my son, and we will be happy, and we will be contented, because that is the only thing that matters. Wealth is great, and this is definitely the key to be able to start building wealth and start adopting that investor mindset. Stop spending all the frivolous stuff It doesn't matter. You know, and I heard that some people, I've heard them say, look, I just want to give my kids the life that I didn't have. You know, I was in poverty. I had a lot of hardship growing up as a kid. I'm not talking about abuse. I'm just talking about hardship from a monetary position. And I don't want my kids to have that same kind of life. Have you seen kids that have everything? There's an expression that hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. But how did they become strong? They went through the adversity. They went through the struggles. They went through the challenges. That's why I don't regret so many of the things that I went through in my life, because that's my story. And that's how I've become stronger. Is it a disservice to my kids to protect them from hard times? For me, it is. So sometimes we have to manufacture hard times for our kids and make it tougher for them just so that they can grow up to be strong as well. Good times, when it's good times, I've seen the kid with the silver spoon in his mouth, the trust fund babies, their lives always turn out great, don't they? Not always. Good times can create weak men. And weak men, generation of weak men, back into hard times. Where are we at in our cycle? Where are we at? It's important to kind of reflect on this. Cutting things, being content with what is little, living with the bare necessities, not only can it help catapult you, your stress can be lower, so much can be lower in your lives. This is a key to building wealth of money. Second key, start investing. Yeah, we have real estate. We have, the stock market, commercial buildings, residential, short-term rentals, etc. All fantastic ways to be able to leverage income-generating assets, right? We've all heard that. But one thing that's interesting is the value of your business. I strongly believe that every single person in this room, the biggest income-generating asset that you may or may not even realize that you possess is your business. And the more you invest into it, it can return you more cash, more wealth than anything that you'd put into a stock market. And I'll show you a couple examples. I want to show you a really cool formula. But first of all, let's just talk about the enterprise value of a business as it kind of grows. So these are really loose numbers. I'm not going to go deep dive into this. I could teach on this for an hour. But the short version of this is that as you start to get your profit, also called EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, is like net profit with a couple more things added back into it. We'll just call it net profit. You can sell your business for multiples on that. And as that multiple grows, the value of it grows. And as that increases into the seven-figure range, that multiple increases a tremendous amount as well. And where does that value exist? It exists in the bank account of our business. When we exit, when we liquidate that number one asset that we own, many of you may or may not have realized you're a millionaire right now as you sit here, because the value of your business is into the seven figures. Yeah, it's not cash in your bank account, but you better believe that it's growing in its investment. And it's one of the fastest paths to growth. At some point this year, I want to teach, I would love to teach a master class on acquisitions, because I do believe that is the biggest gold rush that is happening in home services right now. I want to teach you this little cool formula. So in real estate, when you buy a property, let's say you want to buy an RV park, you will look, an investor will typically look, and they'll see what's called a cap rate. And that cap rate tells you roughly how much of a return you're going to get on that investment each year. Did you know that you can figure this out for your own business? And you can actually see how much your cash has provided as a rate of return for you. You know, the S&P 500, everyone talks about, the blue chip stocks, the 500, biggest companies in the United States. Average rate of return, about 10 to 12% over the last 30 decades. Average rate. We can actually take our business figures, plug them into this little chart, and we can see what's our rate of return on our business, the cash that we've put in. I'll give you a quick little example. So total return is the value of your business less however much cash you put into the business. So let's say we have a business that we started out with a $50,000 budget. Day one, we started out with $50,000 of cash. Quick poll here. How many people started their business with less than $50,000? Raise your hands. Take a look around. Isn't that insane? How many people in here have a business that's doing $1 million in revenue? Raise your hands. Take a look around. Okay, so this is a very common example. We have a business that's worth about $1 million. Maybe someone total has put in about $50,000 worth of cash. And then this little formula up here, if it took 5 years to do it, if we plug in all these numbers, basically that first one gets to 99 to the power of 20% minus 1, 80% return on cash. Was that a good investment? Oh, you better believe it. Private equity, serious key to wealth. You all own private equity in your businesses, privately held companies. Are you investing in them? You not realize it's your number one vehicle? I know some of you spreadsheet nerds will be happy to know that I put this into a little Excel sheet for you. So I know you're gonna wanna go and fill it out. You're like, power of what? What was that? Take a picture of this. So if you're, for whatever reason, your QR code doesn't work, you can type in bit.ly/annual return calc. You can write it into your workbook. If you're like, why isn't my phone working? It'll take you to a Google Sheet. If you go File, Download, because you won't be able to edit anything on that file because everyone's gonna have access to it. Everyone's in it all at once now. You go File, Download. If you need to do this back on your desktop, you can. And then you can make a copy of it and you can play around with it. Really cool to kind of see what your exact rate of return is in your business. With Wise Coatings, when we grew that business, we invested $15,000 cash in it. Year one, we hit a $1 million valuation. It's a 6,600% return on cash, just by investing in the right places. Super powerful. Compound results. Here's a really interesting statistic, and this is one that I've sat down and showed my kids. If you take $300 a month and put it into an investment account, starting at age 18, you will have $3.2 million by the time you're 60 years old. $300 a month. But the downside of compound interest is if you don't start now, you don't start early. Case in point, if we were to move that to 24 years old instead, just a 6-year delay, it's only like $21,000 over those 6 years. That would be the difference of $21,000 earlier. 1.6 million. Oof. 1.6 million less. The secret in compound wealth and results start now. The best time to invest in your wealth was 20 years ago. Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Just do it. Just set it up. This is just with an average rate of return on the S&P 500, not even your own business. So think about that from an investing perspective. Okay. I know I've talked about this before. The value of money compared to time. You know, money is something that we can gain, we can earn, we can spend, we can save it, we can lose it all, we can get it all back again. But time is something that we spend every day, every hour, every minute, whether we want to or not. It is the most precious currency that we possess. How much more valuable is time compared to money? Infinitely. You can't even compare the two. I know that if someone got a call right now from your doctor, and your doctor said, hey, just want to let you know, you only have 50 more years to live. How many people would get up out of their chairs and be like, I got to get home? No, most of you would probably be like, hey, that's pretty good. 50 more years, okay, I can live with that. What if that was 10 years? What if that was 5 years? What if it was 5 months? What would you change? What would you do differently if you knew? How would that affect your day-to-day decision making? We don't know what that is. We don't know how much currency that is. But we do know in that moment, infinitely more valuable than money. Jeff Bezos, worth $156 billion. He can spend $8.9 million, 61,187 an hour, and his net worth never goes down. That's a lot. Could you imagine trying to spend that much money? Impossible. But what, he's got 14 years left? Average lifespan for a US adult male is 74. Don't go very long. If he was Steve Jobs, he'd already passed away. How do we spend our time? Our most valuable currency. This is my daughter, Jaden. 52 weeks by 18 rows. And every week that goes by, you fill in a dot. And when you take a look at how many dots are left, actually, let me update this. This is now my daughter, Jaden. So she's almost 17. So if we do one family vacation a year, I want to have one more family vacation with my daughter until she moves out. Like, that's a scary thought. What's most important for us? Oftentimes we say that we don't have enough time to do things. Is that really true? How are we spending our time? The average adult spends 5.6 hours every single day between social media and TV, streaming, movies. Average 5.6 hours every day. That means there's people that are higher than that. And that's a lot of time. Social media alone, 2.5 hours a day. I don't have time to work on my business. Bull crap. Yeah, we do. But we need to stop spending our time on frivolous things first. Stop being a consumer and start being a creator. Creating value, not consuming others' value. You know, I have a feeling of deep self-loathing. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, where during the workday, I squirrel out so hard and I get almost nothing done. And I come back and finally I'm present with my family. And I know that I didn't do what I should have been doing during the day. And now I feel this pressure on me to now have to work now that it's family time because of all the stuff that I do. Anyone else ever go through that death cycle? Isn't that the most crippling feeling ever? Stop spending time here. We absolutely should be investing in other areas, systems in our business, reading a book, our fitness, our family. You know, in our business, we oftentimes say, you know, man, we just don't have time to do any of this stuff. I'm like always putting out fires every single day. Well, at what point are we going to be the fire inspector that goes and hunts down the arsonist who's constantly setting these fires in our business and start to do a little bit of digging? Is it gonna burn a little bit in the background while we try to do this investigative work and start working on systems and other things? Yes, absolutely it will. But in order for us to be able to finally stop all those fires and buy ourselves more time, we have to invest the time to get out of the day-to-day work and start working on the business, not just in the business. We have to be very intentional with our time. I'll show you a brief example of where we should be spending our time. $20 an hour tasks versus $1,000 an hour tasks. $20 an hour task looks like this: working on the truck. Guys and gals, if there's nothing else that I could get you to leave the summit with, please get off the truck. Please. These are $20 an hour tasks. Answering phones, $20 an hour tasks. Running reports, reviewing resumes, bookkeeping, counting inventory, repairing equipment, bank deposits, running payroll. $20 an hour tasks. If we're gonna devote our precious 40 hours a week, there's some of you are like 80 hours a week, 40 hours a week or less, do we really wanna be working on things that only bring $20 an hour worth of value, or implementing systems? Increasing our average ticket, increasing our closing ratio, improving our customer journey, building and fostering relationships, creating a growth plan and a budget, creating training videos, dialing in your messaging, searching for business acquisitions. These are $1,000 an hour tasks. And I want to give you a quick example on some of these. Actually, I'm going to put Mr. Brandon Vaughn on the spot. He always loves it whenever I put this slide up of him right here. So Brandon got in, before he was a coach, he was one of our OG conquerors. And when we sat down, Brandon did a project where he spent about 6 hours recording videos for his business that would be played before every single estimate that would go out. So like a customer would receive an estimate, and he created these beautiful, like really wonderfully prepared videos. It's like, hey, I'm Brandon with Next Level Cleaning, and we're gonna make your home and your life more next level. And let me show you all of our process. And he was like, rocked it on the videos. And every single one of these videos was added into his presentation when he'd present his estimate. And guess what? His closing ratio went up. When we were sat down together, I went back through my notes, it went up 7%, his closing ratio, for 6 hours worth of work. Now 7's a tiny little number, but you know, over the course of the year, is $168,000 from 6 hours worth of work. When you're on the truck, is any of that stuff happening? When you're answering phones, when you're doing bookkeeping, when you're running payroll, are we working on our business? We're just grinding at it. Stop grinding in your business. It's time to start investing in it instead. And time, number one currency that we should be investing. Let's talk about the power of compounding results. This is from us building positive habits and positive things in our business. If we have this, I really like the concept of 1% better. I talked about this a little bit at the last summit. 1% better. When we do like little small incremental work in our business, we're grinding, working on it, we're doing the thing, we're trying to put it in, like this is what we think should happen. We should start seeing results on like this line. But what actually happens is this. It takes a while. You know, if you start putting $300 a month in your bank account, you check it like 2 years later, you're gonna be depressed. You're gonna be super depressed. And what that is called is the valley of disappointment. And this is true in investor mindsets. They talk about this, they teach about this. Like you trust the process, you trust the power of compounding interest. So instead, if we focus on like just being 1% better each day, imagine how powerful it would be to say, you know, I'm the best I've ever been today. Today, the best I've ever been, but I'm the worst I'll ever be. And thinking about how every day, our goal is just to be 1% better than we were yesterday. 1%, it's a tiny little number. But look what happens if you were 1% worse each day. You go from 1, so if you take 99% to the power of 365, it takes you down to 0.03, near zero. But if you're 1% better, 37 times better than when you started. Just 1% a day. It's a small little incremental change. What are we doing with our time to make ourselves, our families, our personal habits, our business, 1% better each day? Let's talk about wealth of team. Stop hiring bad people. Stop it. I'm so guilty of this myself personally because I have very, very low criticality. Everyone's a stud. Everyone's a rock star. I interview someone, I'm like, oh, you're awesome. You're gonna crush it here, let's go. And then like, meanwhile, my production manager and all the other people on my team that are higher criticality are like, no, I saw this. I'm like, what do you mean? That's not a bad thing, that's a great thing. That's fine, we can coach him out of that. I don't hire people anymore. By my team intentionally not letting me hire people anymore. When you have no screening, no reference checks, no first person, you just basically put out your job ads, the first person that has a pulse, you just like hire them because you're very reactive instead of proactive. It's gonna cause bad people to come into your team, and you do not understand the impact that has in your business until it's too late. Instead, think about investing in people that are smarter than you, like the Steves of the world. You know, with Map to a Million and Wise Codings, we went from 0 in January of 2021. We hit $100,000 a month in month 4. From day 1, I hired 3 people, 2 technicians and a salesperson. By month 2, we had 7 employees, 4 technicians, an office manager, a salesperson, a production manager. And we hit $100,000 our month in month 4. We hit $1 million our first year. And now we have 21 locations across the country. We're doing about close to $1 million a month across those locations. And it's not because of me. I've spent less than 5 hours a week in the business since it got started, January of 2021. Because from day one, I told myself I wouldn't answer any phone calls, I wouldn't be in the field, I wouldn't do any sales. I hired people way smarter than me to come in and run the business. One of the best hires/partnerships I've ever had was with Whitney White. So Whitney White has grown Wise Coatings franchises, and my involvement in that business is literally a few hours a week. She runs it. She's way smarter than me. I have no idea how franchising works. I do now. I have a better understanding. I still don't know what the heck I'm doing. But I do know enough that if you invest in your team, a good employee is never an expense. They're always an asset. I want to repeat that. A good employee is never an expense. They're always an asset. It'll give you a return. So when you think about like compounding results, I'm gonna do a quick poll. How many people here would hire a salesperson and pay them $1 million per year? How many people would hire a salesperson and pay them $1 million a year? It's a lot of money. I see a few hands. A few hands, if they're solid, right? Maybe, I don't know. Early on in my career, the thought of paying someone 6 figures terrified me. What did I say? I can't afford that. It's too expensive. It's way too much. There's an HVAC salesperson in the US right now that makes $1 million per year in commission because he sells $12 million a year in sales. Would you be okay stroking that guy $1 million check? You bet the owner's probably clicking his heels. What about hiring a CEO for your company and paying him $300,000 a year? Plus, maybe earning some equity in your business if you hit certain targets. Boy, giving up equity is hard. I owned 100% of my businesses until more recent years, and now I share equity with employees and team members in every single one of my companies because I've seen the power that that can bring in. Well, what if that CEO grew your business from 1 million to 10 million? We saw the chart of the value that would be created. How many millions of dollars of value would that person create? Is it better to have 100% of a grape or 80% of the world's biggest pumpkin? What's better? Oh, my grape, I got my precious little grape, it's all mine. I'm 100% in control. No. Good employees are never an expense. They cost you nothing. Stop thinking about the expense and start thinking about how can I incentivize them? How can I cast the vision? How can I provide them the opportunity to where their success is linked with the value that they bring into my business? And start putting yourself in that visionary chair where you belong. You're the CEO of your company. No one else is gonna make these visionary decisions other than you. And I'm a horrible CEO. I'm a terrible integrator. Like my hire bus score for CEO is like a 6. I do not belong as the integrator in a business, any business. Anyone on my team can attest to that. I'm horrible with tasks. I'm highly distractible. I get emotional too easy on some things. And it's too much. But I'm good at marketing. I'm good at setting vision. I'm good at putting together a team. And I've developed a talent for finding good talent and selling them on that vision. And everything has changed for me. And I want that to change for you too. Shift your mindset, shift your income.
We hope Brandon's presentation sparked a paradigm shift in your approach to business success. Let today be the catalyst for embracing a CEO mindset where proactive initiatives and continuous learning propel your business to unprecedented levels of success. Thank you for joining, and don't forget to swing by the Conquer booth to learn more about how you can become not just a master of your trade, but a confident business owner.